Okay, so today we're recording some guitar parts. I've been thinking, originally, I had this idea of the Uptown Funk cover version being the, what was it, the Satanic Lounge version. Like I wanted something, some kind of angle that wasn't quite a genre, because I don't find that super interesting doing like a country version or a folk version or a trap version or whatever. I'd much rather just do something a little bit more, for me, a little bit more interesting. Not judging, that's my bag. Speaking of which. So I had this idea, the Satanic Lounge version, and I thought about Hammond organ as being the key to it. And as I started to think about it, it occurred to me, Uptown Funk is basically a love letter to the pop music of the 1980s and also to the culture of the 1980s. There's all sorts of references, Saint Laurent and this sort of thing. So I found myself coming up with all sorts of ideas that seemed to fit into more of a 1960s thing. And after a while I was like, why not just turn this into a love letter to the 1960s? So I had this idea of, okay, Hammond was quite a sort of 1960s sound, maybe some sort of Ennio Morricone fuzz guitar, slightly kind of John Barry, James Bond theme, that kind of thing. But as I've been developing the track, a different angle has started to appear. I found myself going back to the mid-60s to arguably one of the pioneers of funk. I'm sure he would have argued he was the pioneer of funk, a certain Mr. James Brown. And particularly James Brown's guitar player, Jimmy Nolan, who was kind of a proto Nile Rodgers in terms of guitar playing. And as that idea started to develop, I found myself fixating on one track in particular, Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. And I felt like this should be the sonic template for a 1960s version of Uptown Funk. And on that note, Uptown Funk starts off with the lyrics, "This hit, that ice cold, Michelle Pfeiffer, that white gold." Michelle Pfeiffer was possibly my first celebrity crush. I literally cut a picture out of a magazine and stuck it on my school desk. Now, I don't want to update all of the references of Uptown Funk. I think that would get kind of tedious, but I do feel like that opening line, I just sort of thought, shouldn't it be another actress? Another actress that summed up the kind of 60s glamour in the way that Michelle Pfeiffer very much summed up the 80s. And I initially thought Mia Farrow, because it's got to be someone who kind of, the rhythm kind of scans in the lyrics. This hit, that ice cold, that Mia Farrow, that white gold. That might work, but then I thought it should really be Jane Fonda, shouldn't it? It should be kind of Barbarella, Jane Fonda. So I'm going to try both when I'm doing the vocals, which I'm not doing today. I'm going to see which one sounds better. If neither of them sound good, I'll IMDb another actress, and if none of that works, I'll just go with Michelle Pfeiffer. I think that's pretty much everything. I better get on.